my excellent friends. How do you like my pompadour? So we've got, like, they're calling it a red flag warning as far as being in Southern California. It's like fire danger weather, so it's very dry, very crackalackling. That was really cringe. It's great to see you. I have not made an appearance on social media, my regular social media platforms for Back to Facts, in probably more than a week, if not more. I kept wanting to say something, but it wouldn't come, you know? I wasn't at a loss for words. Oh, I had plenty of things to say, but I wasn't sure what would be just helpful at this time. I've been really struggling financially and barely just able to kind of keep things afloat without the insanity kind of snagging my pant leg and me tumbling down the proverbial staircase, you know. That said, you're probably on this page because you think that I bring value to you in some way, journalistically and regarding facts about the world around us. I got really tired of being censored on this platform by Meta as well as on Instagram. What they do is they'll take down posts that I made that they're not even the ones that I hesitate to make usually. They're usually something that, like, it's a copyright issue, or yes, independent fact checkers have debunked ABC, but it kind of just leaves you cold because it's like either you're talking about a problem that exists, but they think you're perpetuating it because you talked about it. So that, my friends, is an extremely surprising development given the year that we live in. You know, I think I probably first heard about the regressive left and, you know, censorship and banning books that are important to our culture. I think I probably first heard about that like 3 or 4 years ago. Maybe more now. But basically, you know, getting banned because you're talking about a controversial subject. And those of you who spend time on social media know what I mean. In terms of when people say unaliving, they just don't want to say, you know, the other word that means unalived or unaliving because of AI. AI picks up now on audio of things that are disturbing in that great way that we've seen. Tells you that you are violating community standards because your topic is too disturbing. So if you ever see that from AI or from human beings, just know that is absolutely, fundamentally, complete bullshit. Pardon my French. Okay? You should know your audience, yes. And you should tell your audience, you know, this is not a kid-friendly show, which I'm sorry I used the words that I used. But this is not really aimed at children. So, but if I were to speak about something, for instance, the allegations against Sean Combs, I would probably give you a warning that if there are children present, you know, I might want to listen to it later or something, you know. But what I'm saying is, coming with a blunt instrument when you really need to be doing neurosurgery is one of the most disturbing things I've seen as far as our communication as a culture and a society and our media. And you will know that I started Back to Facts as a way to unify because I firmly believed, and I also believe right now, that the biggest impediment to unity, the biggest generator of chaos, and the biggest source for fighting and identity politics and using a blunt instrument when a scalpel is needed is our communication system, our information systems. I'm trying to be nice, you know. I worked in media. I have many friends on social media who worked with me in media, in journalism. And most of us aren't employed with, you know, a large outfit. Most people have gone into public relations. I'm fully independent, and I have a website as well with many articles that I began writing in February 2017, as I watched in real time what the media, collectively the national media, the elite media, not local media, the elite media was doing, and why, right? We had a pretty decent mandate in November 2016. I had voted for Hillary. Totally shocking. Totally had my socks blown off, and I didn't post a weepy video, but I was pretty active. I hadn't I hadn't created Back to Facts yet, but that is what prompted me to create it, because I was so blindsided. Okay, I was at an election party in 2016, and I was looking at a website that was supposed to be really good as far as like returns, election results and election returns, Hi, how are you? Good to see you. And it was BS. That thing it wasn't being updated, At that time, I think I thought Nate Silver was God. I don't know why I was not on his 538 site in 2016, but be that as it may, I was actually going on the New York Times election returns site. I'm not really embarrassed. I just think it's hilarious. I think it's funny now. And I watched in real time as the odds for Hillary Clinton to win the presidency plummeted. I watched it in real time, but it went from 100% or 99%, something like that, down to nearly zero in a very short period of time, as you all remember. So I was fundamentally, the ground underneath my feet was fundamentally shaken, and I did a lot of soul searching. Now, I really have to say that I have a very hard time with people who are still in that position. Like, the last 8 years have taught us a very easily detectable pattern of propaganda, deception, division, obsession with the oversimplified, using blunt instruments as suggested solutions by analysts and the hand-picked experts. So I don't want to demean anyone, but I do think you or whoever, you've had the opportunity to, quote, do your own research, but that's 8 years, okay? There's government statistics, Bureau of Labor statistics, archives going back, in some cases, newspapers that go back to the 1800s. It's spotty, but it's definitely getting more detailed. So a lot of times when I do my own research, but I'm a trained journalist and I've won awards, is I will exclude like the current year or whatever, or I'll go to a particular year where I want to see what the media was saying before. And I can't tell you how many times the archive articles have directly contradicted what they've been saying since 2017. And I believe that is because Donald Trump, a flashy, sometime billionaire, depending on who you listen to, property developer, scared them to death. And you know what? I liked that. My entire life, my entire career has been shaped by these events, these recessions, in this case right now, we're having almost hyperinflation. I mean, it's an unforced error foisted upon our country. I know there are people who have very different views than I do. Well, some of them are in my family, and I've talked to them recently, and I realize, the things that they believe, the things that get filtered to them, whether they realize that it's being filtered and curated or not, it's one thing to sit there and go, yeah, you've had 8 years to figure it out. And it's another thing to be like, wow. So the confirmation bias, even though everybody knows about it, is still going very strong. I had a lot I wanted to talk about. It seems like I just ran out of time. But this is my first statement after the election. And all I can say is, if you want to kind of see my track record, people would say to me, but you're not going out into the streets. Well, sometimes I do. You're not going and talking to people. A big critic said that during COVID, and I said, you'd be really surprised what you can find on the web. Again, inconsistencies are very, very telling. And I hadn't heard about the Mockingbird media, or Mockingbird Assets, a CIA program that, of course, that ended long ago. Yeah. Where, journalists feel like they're doing their patriotic duty. First of all, they're getting true information from insiders in the intelligence community, right? And so they think, oh, I'm a good reporter. Wow, see? And then they're going to lunch and dinner with these sources, right? Which is okay, as long as you pay for yourself. And, but then they almost don't even realize that the next story they're getting from them is not quite as true or innocent or random. And then, they might even get a little bit cozier with their handler, right? And all of a sudden they get the, quote, intel that, for example, Russia interfered in the election to help Donald Trump, that a criminal investigation needed to commence, or that Michael Flynn, they said on the news, like, right after, somebody leaked this phone call of Michael Flynn to Sergei Kislyak, who was the ambassador from Moscow to Washington, D.C. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, oh my God, he probably violated the Logan Act. Oh my God, the Logan Act. Oh, I know what that is. Quickly Google Logan Act, right? Ooh, that means if you're not part of the government, you can't be conducting diplomacy, especially not with an adversary, right? Oh my, just look at coverage of this idea in the past. It is perfectly okay when you are in the transition coming into an office to talk to your counterparts. Perfectly okay. Just compare that to General Mark Milley admitting that he had a back channel to China and he wanted to make sure that China knew that they were, they weren't telling Trump everything and they were going to make sure that he wasn't going to attack them or something. Can you imagine doing that to a sitting president? So he admits it later, and then he kind of like, oh, what have I done? He's just a grandstander. And he also he was caught on tape, another archival thing, about, 8 years ago, Obama was still president, as saying that China was not our adversary at all. They were not a threat, okay? What we really needed to focus on was Russia. And it's like, yeah, of course, both we need to always treat as very, very volatile. And so we want to be very careful that we don't snub them, ignore them, bury our heads in the sand, accuse them in the media, all that kind of thing. One of the reasons I decided the media was not accurately covering Donald Trump is that he was consistently applying his principles, which is, we need to talk to North Korea. What the heck is going on there, right? I don't believe Obama ever talked to anyone over there, right? It was just a atmosphere of mistrust. We saw Hillary Clinton clunkily giving high-ranking Russian official a reset button. He's very tall, Lavrov. It was Lavrov, the foreign minister, and he's like, oh, okay, a reset button. She's like, see? Yeah, it says right there, reset. And he goes, oh, well, the word is wrong. You have a letter wrong. It means something totally different. like failure. So I'm serious. It was crazy. Look up that video. But see, I don't think people realize how telling raw footage is. I'm a big fan of C-SPAN. I go in there, and that's where I found the speech that Donald Trump gave to the Rainbow Push, the annual Rainbow Push Coalition in New York City. And I was floored. My jaw dropped with friends and family telling me that they're not influenced by the media. They just really fundamentally do not like Donald Trump. He reminds them of a con man that they knew once. This is the thing. People are too proud to admit that they're susceptible to programming. They are, because we all have blind spots. So I want to be kind to anyone who's watching who, is really, 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 really disappointed by the election. But I also want to say I've schlepped in the trenches for 8 years. I have hundreds of articles on my website, backtofacts.com. I haven't updated it really lately because, like I said, I've been having some very serious financial difficulties having to do with this divisive and controlling criminal organization that's been running the world for a long time. I have not really done a recent article. I did do a column on why I covered Donald Trump fairly. It's on my Substack. And just go to Substack and search for Back to Facts. I think I wrote that about 6 weeks ago in response to a family member. I think the best thing someone can do to show that they have a record of truth-telling and fact-finding is by preserving what they had discovered over many, many years. So if you want to see, check it out. Get on the newsletter list. Even though I don't send a lot out, I do send them out. If you're new, please like the page. It's so shadow bound. I have close friends who I asked them, what'd you think of this on Facebook? And they said, oh, I haven't seen a post of yours in a year. Will you look at that? I'm unfollowed. There is an actual algorithm or whatever, a formula for finding out people who don't engage with a certain page, and then they'll just unfollow them because people aren't going to notice. And what are they going to say? Oh, I can tell. I'm a forensic, social media forensic scientist. So anyway, let's just be calm, be kind, because it's really the only way to unify. But like standing on a high horse, saying that you can't talk to the other side or vilifying the other side is the definition of prejudice. And as Trump said in his first inaugural address, when you have patriotism in your heart, there is no room for prejudice. That speech was really and truly an amazing speech on its own, immediately, in real time. The Mockingbird assets were saying that it was a very dark speech. Oh, he said the factories closed and that, the rest of the country was not sharing in Washington's wealth. How dark. That's so dark. Oh, yeah, I'm married to, the media is married to the congressman, is married to the PR person and the spokesperson. They jump from government into media again and then back to government. And yes, I didn't like it when the Republicans did it, but I guess they got to earn a living. It's a huge no-no, and I think it should be self-policing. If you've been in the White House as a communications director, you do not get to go directly to a news outlet and get paid. Like John Brennan. I mean, that should just be an obvious sign that the person isn't a serious person, They're an asset. Now that we have had a pretty clear result from this election, I was not super surprised. I was pleasantly surprised because a truth teller, however unpleasant, is far preferable to 1,000 liars. And one more thing, the bankruptcies, you have to understand property. You have to understand property development, commercial real estate. Donald Trump is a developer. His father was a multifamily commercial developer, i.e. apartments for middle class. And I believe that the policy that he got hauled into federal court for was actually a policy that didn't want below a certain level of income. Now, I'm not trying to excuse or whitewash, what happened, which was that the federal government sent investigators to his apartments. Donald Trump was, I think, he was working for the organization, but he hadn't been in charge when this incident took place, and they were undercover. And so they were Black Americans, and they were inquiring about an apartment, and they said there was nothing available, and put it in a drawer, I guess. And I guess one of the supers or the on-site managers did tell the news that Fred Trump, Donald Trump's father, had instructed him to do that. Now, that is possible. It is possible, but I got a little secret for you. The kind of prejudice that I see from people who identify as Democrat right now, especially the war hawk variety, is no different than somebody assuming, because they don't know a lot of Black Americans, that those Black Americans might not take care of the properties. Unfortunately, the human mind profiles. Am I excusing it? No. But do you know the history of racism and the revival of the KKK in the United States? Yeah, Woodrow Wilson played a big part of it. And guess what? After he aired this horribly racist silent film that was very critically acclaimed in the White House, and he did it deliberately. People acted like he got tricked. No, he didn't get tricked. He was a raging racist, Woodrow Wilson. Well, he actually segregated the civil service. Yeah. They got rid of Black employees through attrition or relegated them to menial jobs. And then guess who integrated it again? Harry Truman. Good job, Truman. Harry S. Truman. The buck stops here. Was that him? I think so. So what I'm saying is, I think the racism thing is probably the biggest thing, but I'm not excusing the actions of his father. Remember, Barack Obama got elected in large part because of a speech he gave about his racist white grandmother. Do you remember? And it was all about unity. We all voted for him. Now I ask you, if you're sitting here going, wow, we've really gone backwards and all these racist people in the country, really? I think we're a little better than that. In fact, we're a lot better. You'd be surprised. Even though it's after the election, we have to talk to each other. I've been saying it for a year, but make an effort and really try to understand the kind of information avenues that they consume. So I hope that this message is received well by you, my friends and fellow earthlings. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. But I'll sign off for now. Please comment, share, like, subscribe. I'm on YouTube, Substack. Just got on TikTok, although I don't have any content. Look, I wrote for China Daily in 2009. I was a freelancer because I couldn't get, there were no stateside outlets that would pay me except American Banker, which was literally there in the crash of 29, and I was a copy editor for them. But anyway, China Daily, which is owned by the Communist Party, already has all my info. And I was like, if President Trump can be on TikTok, well, then so can I. All right, so look for me there. And obviously X, yes. I have like 555 followers on X, 3,000 followers, 3,200 followers on Instagram. And here, of course, about 1,200, I think, but I have stayed in the same exact amount for more than a year, both on Instagram and Facebook. And what they do is they unfollow people for them. Oh, what a nice little favor they did, right? Give me your thoughts, and I'm going to try and come on more regularly now, and I will see you very, very soon. And above all, keep calm and share complete facts. Have a great day. Mwah.